So welcome to the Java session here. We have only 40 minutes. So who does Java in real-world projects right now? Coding, almost everyone. You also is my son, so his hands up. So very good. Now, otherwise, home chores, more homework and stuff like that. Okay. Now, who hates Java? No one. Come on. Usually, half of the people say, okay, and after the talk was better. So this is all my strategy now went south. Okay, I'm a freelancer, do Java all the time. This talk will be mostly LLM free. Why mostly? Because I found something out with Java where LLMs are very good of generating Java code. So I at least would like to mention it. And yeah. So the entire talk is trivial, actually. Is really common sense. And I think if a beginner will start in a Java project, it will do exactly that, what I show you today. So there is nothing new, but still people would like that I talk about this, maybe as approval that projects can be simpler, but you will see nothing new here. So this is a joke. I have an Airhex domain, and the only reason why Airhex is there is because my actual domain is adam-bean.com, and I needed something for Maven. And if you would like to push something to Maven, dashes are not allowed. So what I did is I tried to find out something without dashes, and I came up with Airhex. But the cool story is in a conference, someone thought Airhex is a company, and there's no company, it's just me, I'm a freelancer. So I registered Airhex Industries as a joke. So here it is. But behind the scenes, something useful, my GitHub account and stuff like that, right? Okay, I do just Java, and I'm happy with it. So at the back end, I try to do a little bit Scala, but I just managed to do some Scala tests and then was impatient with the compilers, just doing Java all the time. And right now, Java 25, a little bit annoying with Maven because of the warnings, and back then, Java 21. So I kept 22, 23, and 24 because all my clients are basically LTS shops. So they have 11, 17, 21, 25, but 25 is great. I actually really forgot the div, but the main instance methods is a big deal, and I have to remember. So I was... but you will see all my projects are just 25. So who is from Sweden? So I'm in Sweden, hopefully, but okay. Then, who knows Ivar Jacobsen? What's wrong with the other people? I mean, this is a really cool guy, actually, so we'll see why. Okay, he is from Sweden as well. So I think Gothenburg. I did a podcast with him, and I thought he's like 60, but today I look up at the Wikipedia, and he's 86. But really bright guy and had lots of fun. He was like a teenager was the conversation, so you can listen to it. Airhex TV, first Monday of the month, I just answering questions, but I don't answer any questions via email because it's way too much. And if you like Java, I think the recent 100 shorts are about Java 25. So if you watch these features I use in projects, why I did it, there's no time to explain, but this is 60 seconds or less with Java and implementing mostly from scratch. And I'm answering questions with shorts. Okay. Some workshops, LLM-based in Java, but they are fully booked. I will try to repeat them next year. Airhex Live. I wrote a book, which is, I think, I forgot about that, and I think you cannot order it anymore. Maybe you can or not, but the idea is most of the stuff is very old. And I got asked, will you write another edition? No, because what's in the book is already valid. And maybe I will write a book, but I have no time for books. What happened back then, I was traveling a lot. In all the trains, airplanes, I just wrote the books. And now I'm working from home, so there will be no books. So this is the story. Now, Java and clouds. This is important. This is actually the reason why I do Java all the time in the clouds. And very briefly, Java is number 5. According to, or use the focus on energy efficiency. So it's energy efficient, which is very important for some German companies because of laws. There are laws, European laws, where you are forced to put, the CO2 consumption on your invoice. And from performance perspective, it's also number 5. And ADA is a little bit faster. So maybe there are other talks on the conference. So this is the next cool thing. C++ is, of course, faster, but not a lot. And what's interesting is Ruby, Python, they are 35 times slower than Java. And this is one of the reasons why I do Java all the time in the cloud, because if you have to calculate something, compute or for loops, if-else statements. With Java, you can save money in the clouds. Rust will be faster, but with Rust, it's really hard, to find developers who are willing to implement boring enterprise application like me. So this is why I think Java is reasonable. Java is not very good with memory. GraalVM improves that, of course. Most of my projects are serverless with Java, so we don't care about memory. Long story short, why not? Because we have to buy with memory CPU. In order to get, one core, you need 2 gigs of RAM usually, and Quarkus consumes 100 megs of RAM, so we have more memory than we can consume actually. Okay, cool. Postmodernism. This is a slide. Why? Because this is actually my trick in the projects. What this is from art, I think. I found it on Wikipedia, so it's actually cool because it's exactly what we do right now. It means now, if you read this, you can say, okay, there are no more grand explanations. And in Java, this is what I hated. This was like, I started in a large, I remember 2003 in a larger project, we had to do MDA because model-driven architecture was the solution to all problems. And then reactive came, and message-driven, or whatever. And now maybe we get something else. And what I think is, what should happen is that the mix is the interesting part. Every project is different, and you can pick whatever you like. It should be simple, understandable, and it should solve the problem. And this is postmodernism. This is exactly what happens right now. We tried everything out. We saw that, if databases outlive the applications, DAOs don't make any sense. You can explain to people because we have the experience. Okay? By the way, I forgot to mention, I really like interruptions and heretical questions. Right? So please ask questions. Why? And I have different experience because I'm a developer. I'm actually not a speaker. I'm just hacking all the time and created the last slides before the show, actually. Right? So, any questions so far? No questions? Then don't be dogmatic. So it means if someone tells you we have to do it this way, do test-driven. Someone asked me, what's your opinion about test-driven, TDD? Whatever opinion on TDD, I know already what the expectation is. Expectation would be always do TDD. And if someone tells you always do TDD, it's probably wrong. There is never always. Okay, agreed? Everyone? Pretty cool. So I like Sweden. By the way, I know Kalle Anka. You know Kalle Anka? So Kalle Anka, very interesting word, fika. What is break, right? Not exactly. And I know chocolate balls, but the Swedish name is forbidden. They told me this and this the balls, but never tell it. It's like how to tell it. We tell it how we buy it, but we are not allowed to tell it, to say it publicly. So I will never tell it, but they are delicious, right? Small chocolate balls, you know what I mean? So domain business first. So this is the first part. Who knows boundary control entity? No one, but oh, very good. Who invented this? Ivar Jakobsen. So I'm in Sweden, a little bit disappointed because in Germany, lots of people know boundary control entity. Why I like this? Because the icons are available everywhere. The first thing. So it is older than UML. Lots of books written on it about this. So it means there's no reason to reinvent the wheel and introduce your own stuff, like I did in my first book, which was a grand mistake because I got in all projects asked, why are you using the name facade, service, or endpoint? And then I stopped. And the first trick, I think, is before you invent something, take a look at the standards. Try to find a standard and use the standard so you don't have to explain yourself why you use the standard, but standard is already, smart people did something and you only refer to it, and this is perfect. And you also will have more vacations because these standards are more stable, like virtual threads. They won't go away. But I saw so many reactive frameworks. So I have no time to learn every other day another reactive framework in the hope it will survive, for instance. Okay? Life is too short. Everyone agreed? Great audience, so I will always come back. So the next grand idea, which is very simple, if you're building alien management system, right? So we have aliens at the conference. So what I will expect, Predator, aliens, whoever, R2D2 maybe as package names, but not DAO services, data access layers. If I'm building an alien application, I would like to see aliens. If I build an insurance company, I would like to see something with insurance policies. You see, yes, but in all my code reviews so far, the larger the project, the less you will recognize what the project is doing. Okay? This is the strange part. So it means the first idea in my projects, or if I have the power, this is the absolute law, whatever you do, you have to use business and domain names. You are not allowed to use DAOs, DTOs, or whatever in Java we like. Okay, agreed? Yeah, super cool. So it is a challenge. So I have some stickers. At least someone should not agree with me. You know, so okay, what we are saying is absolutely wrong. You have to name something, you know, in alien shop like, I don't know what, vehicle or ice cream, right? Could be an alien ice cream. So what is about maintainability? I think maintainability is clarity. So if we write code in a team and we understand each other, we are on the right path. Right? So there is no wrong, regardless what the press says and in the books. If we deliver the software and we are happy, we had fun, and the software is working, and the program is simple, we won. Okay? So I was in a project years ago, and we implemented a simple application, and the architect was unhappy. And the architect told us we have to use code generators because they're easier to maintain or whatever. And I had to ignore them because I never believed in the code generation principle from him. And then after years, I met him again, and the project was like 5 years in production, or no longer, more than 5 years in production. And he came to me and said, okay, look, I'm really unhappy that you back then, were against code generators. And I told him, look, the team was satisfied, the team is happy. The project is 5 years successful in production. No maintainability issues. There was one person dedicated to the project. Everyone is happy. It means we won. It couldn't be even better. If you would generate the code back then, it would be harder, and there would be no business difference, for instance. Okay? So it means if your team is happy, you are right. Right? So this is, so. Now, this year, I find time to create a homepage, website, and the domain is 9 years old. So because I said, okay, I would like to capture the boundary control entity from Java perspective. Because Ivar Jacobson created the idea on Ericsson. So you know Ericsson, at least in Sweden. Who doesn't know Ericsson? It comes from Sweden. Okay, this is cool because, okay, this is very good. At Ericsson, there was Ivar Jacobson, and Ivar Jacobson created boundary control entity. And, but this was usually at the beginning, like, there was use case diagram, there was an actor, there was a boundary, so they use this for use case modeling, but it applies perfectly for presentation patterns and backends, okay? And what I did is, I created this website, and what the structure is, so the challenge is to be as concise as possible. So I'm not interested to write, I don't know what happened right now, but so this is BCE design, exactly. And this is the website. And these are some generic rules, and then we have the cards. Serverful is basically a normal Java application. Serverless is basically a normal Java application as AWS Lambda, and web components is not Java, right? Just web components. And if you go there, so I try to find some rules, what is a typical boundary. And why I did it, because at the EHEX-TV, the most asked question is, what I put to boundary, what I put to control, and I say, okay, I gathered all the questions, and they are here. And then you see also lots of examples. And I have more and more examples, so you can ask me next EHEX-TV, maybe I will create a GitHub project with issues, and also, this is right, cloud, this is BCE on AWS, basically. Why AWS? Because currently I'm working mostly on AWS. It would also work on Azure, but all my projects currently are on AWS. Okay, this is, and this is the basic idea. So, what I found out is that the BCE is the simplest possible way to structure the applications. So also my podcast, there was an episode with, I think, Lawrence from USA. This was a retired lawyer who wanted to create a software startup. And he attended the AX Live, so I told him about the BCE, and he also used the Constructions Cloud, and now he's successful. So he attended 3 workshops, and then say, okay, it works. It created and shipped the software, which is in pure Java, of course. Right? Other languages would be harder, but with Java was not a problem. So right. So okay, now let's go to next slide. So this is boundary control entity. This is like, simple template how to structure your software. And because you don't know him, so this was created today, this slide from Wikipedia. This is Ivor Jacobs. You know Ustad is far away? This Ustad or Ustad? How to pronounce that? Ustad? Pretty close, you see. So we could invite him here, actually. He would come. It's really great. He listens to the podcast. So he's a really fun guy. It's incredible, actually. We should invite Ivar Jacobson to Øredev next year. Absolutely. So we have to do this. So it's your job to do this. I will also ping him. So he has to come here. Okay, if it's not far away, no excuses. Right, the next question is, which remoting protocol I'm using? The simple answer, none. No distribution. Don't distribute. If you don't have any problem, everything is local, okay? And if you do this, magic happens, right? Imagine if you have one monolith, it fails completely, perfect. If you have a microservice architecture, and just, imagine payment fails, terrible, partial failure. You can do everything but not pay. Or you could pay but not deliver. So I don't know why Java people like complicated systems, and complicated systems means, we build now 50 microservices in the hope that in one day we will be Netflix, Google, whatever, and at the end of the day there are some, in small Bavarian village building an application and would like to behave like Google, right? Which never works. So it means first, keep it simple, don't distribute. If you have to distribute, what I do, HTTP and JSON first. Then I hear, okay, JSON is inefficient. It's like, I don't know, let's measure this. And maybe Jackson is the fastest JSON parser, right? Jackson, you know that. So what I find out, that JSON-P is the standard, is fast enough in my projects. So there's almost no difference, So there was, the Quarkus responded in 100 milliseconds. So if we introduce Jackson, it will maybe respond in 95 milliseconds. We will spend, I don't know, 2 days at least to optimize to Jackson with zero added business value. Okay? So do this simplest possible thing, measure, and then decide. Cool? Everyone agreed still? So no one agrees with that in project. Actually, last week I had to write an email why I would like to have JSON-P, for instance, and not Jackson. The project didn't even started, and they already knew they have, to optimize performance. Configuration. Answer, don't configure. Convention over configuration first. If you would like to configure something, the question is when you would like to change it. What I saw, define as example, you know what war is? I mean, you know what war is, but the maybe not that evil war, the web archive. You remember web archives? It's like a zips with structure. So I saw a project, log4j, thread, which rescans the war, searches for log4j, and was able to reconfigure itself. It's like, this is pretty cool, but how you change the war? Because the war is a zip, it's in production. So it means the project assumed they can change the war, but there is no way to change the war. So the entire configuration machinery was absolute failure, and from the beginning, it just caused problems. Okay? So my favorite vehicle for configuration are Java enums in most projects. Most projects right now, why? Because most projects follow immutable infrastructure. And immutable infrastructure, bedeutet is German, means we can only move forward, and move forward means we are not allowed. We are not able to change our production system. So if we are not able to change our production system, it doesn't matter whether we change configuration, property file, or XML file, or I change my enum. Cool? And whatever has to be changed in production, then we take a look how to do it. Environment variable, of course, but then is it like a secret has to be encrypted or less encrypted? What we do? Everyone agreed? So forget about configuration. I think the billions spent for configuration framework. So Java developers love configuration. And the next slide, hopefully testing, not that much, but where is it? Error handling and logging. So there were whole frameworks built before the project even started. So test. Why projects are testing? You know it? So what's your suspicion? So you're in a project and everyone tests. So why? Suggestions. Oh, really? So in Germany is because the manager would like to have on his dashboard 80% code coverage. This is the said but true, said but true, exactly. And I would say that that's cool that you would like to, and what the developers are doing then. And this slows down developers, why? But you are right, this is, you are right, so we are on the same page, but 2 slides later. But for now, let's say right now, right? So 80% code coverage, why it slows down the developers? Because we are forced to test stupid things. And what I see is, the smartest thing, what I see is, developers build reflection frameworks to invoke getters and setters, which is stellar. Because what you are testing, code coverage, what means code coverage? Exactly. What is code coverage? It means what was invoked, not verified, what was invoked by test, code coverage. So it means whether it was successful or no one cares. So what it means, what I saw in enterprise projects, everything was invoked, and at the end, assert not null. It's like this is like, I was like, okay, this is perfect, yeah? Maybe you add assert true, would be also a cool one, right? So I tried to find it, so you see how agile my presentation is. There was a framework, hopefully is, but this is not PyTest. You know PyTest? PyTest, I hope this is the right, PyTest, reject, yes, this is mutation testing. And this is great idea, but it's unfortunately a bit slow. So what PyTest does in such project is, it mutates the business logic, and if it survives, your asserts are crap. Cool idea, right? So it means if your assert is not null, it will survive everything. You have to read it. This is like a zombie movie, because what happens is they create mutations of business logic and try to capture that with inverse tasks, if you will, right? If your asserts are great, every mutation of the business logic won't survive. Okay, PyTest. Next time I put it on the slides, but I have to be careful because of time. So there are more and more slides and less time. Any other questions? So tests are great. This would be the best, because this would actually measure code coverage. It would measure the quality of the asserts. No one interested in it because there is no management statistics. No statistics, no budget. So now tests, persistence. So the question before the show, what is my opinion about JDBC? And back then, before Java 17, so I think I didn't like JDBC a lot because it was very chatty. And yeah, but since Java 25 or 21, we got Java records. And Java records with resources are actually perfect to implement. And not even this, I forgot. We have Java records. We have sealed interfaces, which can be combined. And we have JDBC, and this combination, and pattern matching. And this combination, you can, without any frameworks, have a very lean JDBC access layer, which was not possible a few years ago. Okay? So, having said that, the persistence, the question is, it really depends on the context. The answer on premises is, I would use JDBC or JPA. And the answer in the cloud, I will never use JDBC or JPA. Why? Because if you would start together in a small team, a cloud project, what will happen is you build it, you run it. It means we would be in charge of managing the database and try to run Postgres in the cloud. It's not that easy, and it's also not cheap. So what do you do in the cloud? I would suggest let's start with S3. It's a standard, available everywhere. A little bit painful, because at the end of the day it's a hash map, but very fast one, and very cheap one. Okay? So the answer, what is the best persistence framework, depends on the context. Very important. 15 years ago, the answer would be my answer, JPA. Right? So with 21 on premises, JPA or JDBC, or in the clouds, something without JDBC, binary JDBC stateful protocol. This is the problem, right? And also you have to manage the database, which is the next problem. Cool. Error handling and logging. So also depends on the context. And in RESTful services, I think you should not spend too much time designing beautiful exception hierarchies. What I saw in project, business exceptions, system exceptions, and at the end of the day, no one cares about the exceptions. So you have a huge exception hierarchy. And on the other side, they have a huge exception mapper hierarchy just to get the right, status code. What you can do is, you can absolutely implement a web application exception or better, bad request exception or internal server error and inherit from that and throw this. You don't have to map anything. It just maps by itself. Okay? So if you, I had a chat with actually AWS Lambda Power Tools for Java, but it doesn't matter. But what they did, they have asynchronous logging. And I say, why you need asynchronous logging? This was actually also on the podcast. And they had a great, great idea, which we can absolutely steal. What they do is they record in cache, in memory, all debug logs. And when the exception happens, they flush it. It means you see all the history of debug statements on error. Genius idea. I will absolutely steal it in the next project. Without Lambda Power Tools, but also with, but great idea. Of course, if you wait too long, you get out of memory exception, which is another problem, right? And then I already see what happens. Developers will be least recently used whatever cache will cause, memory leaks, but idea is great. And it works in Lambda perfectly because Lambda is short-lived. They can cache everything, but great, great idea. Agreed? Cool. Abstractions and decoupling at the beginning, no abstractions, no decoupling, forget it completely. So we are building something, and at the beginning, usually, I would say, yeah, in all my, every project is different. I never was in the same project twice, or even a similar project. And at the beginning, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is the truth. So you start with the project. What I will do is, I will implement a RESTful interface first, system test, and see what happens. If this is green, it works somehow, and then learn about the context, okay? If you know enough about the business logic, then you are able to implement abstractions. No knowledge, no abstractions. And this is what I also believe, therefore, core business logic has to be implemented by internal people, not external people like me. Because if you give me a project where I will implement your business logic and I go away, you lost all the knowledge. So I think power to internal developers, and they should care about the business logic, and external could help you with technical stuff, but not with core business logic. This is just crazy. Everyone still agreed? Yeah, Sweden is the best so far. So I'm back next year, and if I don't get the session, I will speak outside, just for fun. Like, agreed? Yes, everyone agreed. So modularity, also the next thing. Who remembers OSGI? Okay, I remember, and I couldn't get it because in my project there was no use cases for OSGI. But on Twitter, if I mention OSGI, everyone, yeah, you have no idea about architecture, you have to do OSGI, and now it's no more OSGI, right? No more. Why? So why 5 years ago everyone was into OSGI, and now we don't need OSGI, right? So it was a fashion back then. Everyone wanted to have it. Now we have JPMS. Java Platform Model System. The next question. Are you using JPMS? The answer is not, because in my microservice architecture, I don't need the modules. But what I thought recently, I do a lot of CLI tools, and then JPMS could be actually great to build small modules. But I would say you should use modules if you have a problem, right? So we had, there was a Java champion who created a NetBeans project to track satellites. Who was his name? He runs Java user group in Bodensee in Germany, and Sven Reimers. And he started with modules. Hey, Sven, you with modules, you are seasoned Java developers, why are you doing this? And the cool story had a perfect case for modules, because there was satellite signals, and the satellite signals was like Photoshop processing. One was like, I don't know what they did, but there was filters and amplifiers, whatever. And every such filter processor was a module, was a plugin. Great, great story. So I would say, if you need them. And you should not use modularization from the beginning and hope one day it will help you, because you are only increasing the complexity of your project without any added value. Okay? So, having said that, modules are not the package names, what I told you. So we should always use great package names, but a package with a good name is not a module. Module is like JPMS, OSGI, NetBeans platform module, or Eclipse module, something like this, okay? And by the way, what I recently did in a project, MCP, because it's a great hack for modules. So I had a problem, or I can show you also this. It is MCP, GitHub, and Adam Bean. And this is Bean is also okay. So you see. So what it is this pure Java implementation of an MCP plug. So you can just plug it to a Claude desktop, for instance. And then Claude is already able to talk to this one. But if you think about an MCP, an MCP server, you would usually like to have your functionality. Should search in Javadoc, your database, and whatever. And what I wanted to achieve is, so how to do this, because this is my stuff, and how to plug your stuff to my stuff. And what I did, I searched JDK for an interface which is common to you and to me. What could it be? I found something which is pretty cool, but there's only one, I think. Java util function. So Java util function abstracts from everything. If you implement Java util function and put this jar in a folder, it will be found by service loader. So there's actually works perfectly, no external dependencies. It means you only have to implement Java util function. You give me a var and you are in. Okay? So the simplest possible module, I searched for that one day, because there has to be something which is usable. And I couldn't believe that the service loader, you know, service loader, Java util service loader, that the service loader actually will work with Java util function. But what we did. And I asked ChatGPT before, I said no, because no type safe. It's like, okay, this is strange what you are saying, and it works. So it means ignore LLMs and do something by your own. It's also good things, right? So now, modularity, documentation, and Javadoc. Yeah, my advice is you are only allowed to document things if there is something to say, right? So in Germany, we had policies, all public methods has to be Javadoc'd. And then you have strange things like, this is a getter, this is a setter, this is a Java class, this is an interface, as if I were completely stupid. Say, okay, of course, public class, this is a class, right? And sometimes the absolute insight, this is a default constructor. It's like, what else? I mean, what else could it be, right? And in all the projects, there are ASCII art. Fields are starting, fields are stopping, methods are starting, so it's very great, because there's like, what else? We cannot have aliens are stopping? No, is not possible, right? So, and what I completely miss is package-info.java, and package-info is a Java construct, and you can put Javadoc on it, and this is especially useful in the business components of BCE, because you can write, this is the predator, the best of all aliens, or not. You know, you can explain what makes a predator, but I don't have to tell boundary that boundary is a boundary and control is a control. You know what I mean? So code has to be simple, so we should be able to read the code without Javadoc, but your ideas, intention should be documented in Javadoc. Cool? Yes. First question. Very good. You get 50 stickers now. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Javadoc on Markdown. I think it will shift to Markdown. And the only reason is because what I find myself, I write GitHub readmes or whatever, and we could share, you know, GitHub readme in Markdown with Javadoc. So with the Markdown, shareability story is great. And another related question in Javadoc is, in Javadoc we have the snippets. So you can borrow working code in Javadoc. It's called snippets, I think. Javadoc snippets, also great invention, but it's older than Java 25. It was, I think, introduced in Java 22, I think, not 21, 22 or something like this. Happy with the answer? Okay, very good. Yeah.
Javadocs for generating open API specs. Do you use that?
Javadoc to generate OpenAPI. Now I use annotations, microprofile annotations. And in fact, in this example, eBank, which I won't probably show you because of time, in the eBank, I use that. And with Quarkus and OpenAPI annotations, it will generate automatically the OpenAPI spec. I thought you are talking about OpenAI API. It's like, okay, OpenAI, this is advanced Javadoc would also work. But why I was, what I found out is, if you use package info, with additional context, this is what LLMs also love. They will read it, and my idea is there was actually a JFocus at the conference, but there will be a talk, but the idea is, if you write maintainable code, which is readable by humans, is also great for LLMs. So I think in Java we have bright future because we can build perfect systems fast, and we can read the code. This is exactly opposite of vibe coding, right? So we can write our patterns, we can write very simple code, for instance, JDBC. Imagine we find out JDBC is great. So then LLM can generate, 2 more getters. I don't care, but the code is simple, right? But for a human, writing the getters is annoying. In one point of time, I could start with reflection, and everything will get more complicated. But with LLMs, it's like, friendly wizards with some hallucination, but nobody is perfect, right? Some developers hallucinate as well, so it's no problem. So, right? So, external dependencies. Do you have a cool story? This is unrelated to hallucinations, but almost. One of my first projects, we had our own server room, and we had a Java developer who was a musician. And he asked questions like, Adam, has Java like MIDI output or whatever? It's like, yeah, it has. So, okay, and then logging, right? And his idea was, actually a great idea, then on errors, we should emit sounds in the server room. That we see, depending on error or the severity is a different sound. And I say, really? And then I thought of what I could say. And I said, okay, maybe we could introduce Dolby Surround. So then we can know which server has a problem, okay. So this was a true story, but it's from the beginning of Java. This was actually lots of fun. External dependencies, don't do it. So no external dependencies, no dependabots, no scannings. Some of my clients recently came to me, it's like they found external dependencies with GPL. Now they have the scanner, and it says, okay, what they should do is like keep it secret, remove it, and do something. Find as soon as possible replacement, right? So no external dependencies, no problems. The question is it possible? And the answer is very possible. So I'm mostly for Micronaut and Quarkus world. So what we do in Quarkus, for instance, like you are allowed to use Quarkus, but you are only allowed to use the microprofile dependencies because they are maintained by several teams. And they are not allowed to use Quarkiverse extensions, or not allowed. This is questionable to use Quarkiverse extensions because usually they are maintained by one developer, and the developer will never maintain the Quarkiverse extension for entire life. Maybe in 2 months, and then so it is not cool anymore, and do OSGI again or whatever, right? So the so-called bus factor, okay? So we always have external dependencies. For instance, on AWS projects, we only use AWS dependencies. We would use CDK, AWS, and not Terraform because we are on AWS. If we are on Azure, we use Biceps with Azure SDKs, but not something different, okay? And on OpenShift, we use Red Hat stuff. So this is why they ask me, which JDK you advise? Depends, right? So it really depends where we are. So, cool. Any other questions? So external dependencies, very controversial topic. On that note, Lombok is questionable. Having said that, and because it's questionable, I try to avoid it. Because if you search for Lombok, 500 articles, how great Lombok is, and 500 articles, I hate Lombok. And now if you use Lombok in every project, we have to, every time, for me, Lombok is too much. It's a code generator behind the scenes, and we already had a problem with Lombok because we had to wait until Lombok supports the recent Java release, for instance. And with Java 25, 21, we have Java records, and the getter-setter generation is no more needed. But there are some killer cases of Lombok, like for instance, if you have a cache, Lombok can generate for you a consistent hash and equals. Perfect. But you have to have a problem. Then Lombok will be a solution. In normal projects, with me, no Lombok. No one could me actually explain why they would like, why they need Lombok. They like it, but no why. Okay? So how to start? Pick boring technology. Java is great, it's boring, no one's excited, but it's very stable. No dependencies, automate build. The first thing what we do, so I have Jenkins before, then I was in the cloud, code pipeline, code build. My expectation is GitHub private repository, every commit triggers the build, and then we have the tests. Automate build, automate deployment in the year Java, in the year 2025. There's actually no reason, there is no reason to manually deploy, and everything has to be automated, basically, right? After tests, end-to-end tests after every commit. Okay, now about testing. And you said tests to be faster. There are multiple test categories. And there's also a podcast, by the way, I forgot about that, with, I don't know with whom, someone from .NET space. And the title was Unit Tests Considered Harmful. And this is my belief, because if you have a distributed system and you only focus on unit tests, you don't test anything. So you have your code coverage, but my favorite example is you test a device, a laptop, which is off. I'm pushing the buttons, like all the buttons are working. I tested 80 buttons, now you can go to production. But you never started the laptop. Maybe you started, but everything was locked out. So you always started, mocked out, not locked out. You test, the screen without plugging to the notebook, to the laptop. And what I also don't like is mocks. No mocking, if possible. And if it's not possible, then mocking or building simulators. Yes.
Do you have any experience of using packed?
Yeah. It's hard to tell. I had not too much experience. There were some projects very happy. In other projects, we were also very happy without packed. I would classify as neutral because I don't have enough experience. But I was in projects and asked the developers, and they were very happy with packed. And packed is like, you have the API specification in a central place, and everything is generated from packed, right? This is what we are talking about. Yeah. But we do something similar without packed. What we do, we have system tests. And in one of our projects right now, we have the problem, we have migrated from Node.js to Java. And the Node.js API is a little bit problematic, I would say. So what we do, we create system tests in Java first, and against Node.js, and then we re-implement Node.js with Quarkus, swap the test to Quarkus, and the test will remain, And the same trick can be applied for microservices, and because you asked, maybe I'll show you a little bit of code. How much time do we have? Who knows?
-4 minutes.
-4 minutes, this is great. So, this is very good. Is it the last talk of today? Okay, who likes beer in Sweden, right? This is now system tests. This is just for you. Source, main, Java, accounting, resource client. And now watch this. This is the important insight or hack. This is system tests, and I have something in source main Java. The cool story is if I run in the thing st. The others is also late, so there's no problem. So Maven package, I'm just adopting to the culture. So now this jar, we have a jar here with the tests which are shareable between projects. So what we do is we write end-to-end tests for us, but as collateral damage, we get interfaces which can give you, and this is consumer-driven contract as well without the framework. This works perfectly. And what you can also do, you can check in the tests to Nexus or Artifactory or wherever, and you stress test by reusing the interfaces. Okay? So, but both ideas are working. Okay? Super cool. Any questions? No questions. So go with slides. Okay. Very controversial, no branching. Because feature branches following the following observation, developers like branching because there are no conflicts, but at one point there is a sync point after iteration. And this is hell on earth. I say, okay, I would like to go to vacations or whatever, like 3 days later I come back. Because then you have to integrate everything, and this is painful. So what we try to do is, and it worked well in our projects, just main only. Everything is commit one place, and everything is integrated in one place. And if the teal is small, for developers, it works perfect. System API tests first. I expect end-to-end tests first with code coverage. And code coverage means in system tests, I would like to see which part of the system are really invoked from outside with code coverage. And now it comes the cool trick. If all APIs are covered, I called everything, and something is red, what it means forgotten code. So I misuse code coverage with system tests to identify dead code. Okay? And now it comes to unit tests. Unit tests makes me faster because if every business logic mistake means I have to follow the entire cycle, which is slow. So, for instance, if I see in my code last index of substring, I always mess up the index in Java. I always write unit test, which makes me faster. I don't have to wait until the pipeline breaks to fix stupid substring. Okay? But unit tests are developer choice. End-to-end tests are reasonable. End-to-end means flying a plane, working with a laptop, or driving a car. Unit test is pushing buttons and hoping that everything will work just by pushing the buttons. Agreed? Amazing. Incredible. So, okay. So, no problems, no patterns. Oh, patterns. Patterns are solution to the problems. If you don't have the problems, don't use patterns, period. There was Erich Gamma, very famous author on German conference, or don't even know it was German conference, and someone told him he used all the patterns, and Erich said, you cannot have all the problems, right? So why use all the patterns, for instance? So mission statement. So mission statement is, the architecture is clear if we know why we are doing this. This is the basic idea. And there is a strategy, and I was curious how strategy is defined, and there's Wikipedia entry, so this is how it is defined. And today I said, okay, but this is very generic. Is there an example? Okay, picture. Now, the example is, for instance, you have over-engineered project. You say multiple unnecessary, you see this formatting, so next time I will be more better. So multiple unnecessary layers, service manager, helper, util classes, excessive external dependencies, complex abstractions, so forth. This is the diagnosis after code review. So what you can derive from that is the guiding policy. So, okay, we use BCE pattern because we are in Sweden, right? For instance, Kisiagni, Java C API over external dependencies, modern Java features, records, sealed interfaces, pattern matching, and dual persistence strategy, for instance, JPA writes, JDBC reads. Okay? This would be the guiding policy. So we know why, because it's over-engineered, and over-engineered is not a good reason, I have to admit, but I couldn't find, yeah, it could be. But not over-engineered, maybe hard to maintain. New developers take forever to understand what's going on. This is a great reason. Because over-engineered, if everyone is happy, no one cares. Okay, now, last two slides. This is the pattern. This is the problem statement of the most famous pattern called data access object. This is the favorite of many German projects. Everyone loves data access object to decouple from a database, which usually outlives the projects. So I actually never saw that Oracle is swapped during the project with DB2, but developers behave, they think it will happen. And if you read this, it is even crazier, because if you read this, this is the only definition of DAO I know. It says you have to abstract from relational databases LDAP. So I never saw that someone tries to use DAO to go to LDAP. Object-oriented databases, which are completely forgotten, and XML repositories. It means there are problems which we don't have at all, and DAO was still used. Now no more, but it was very, very popular. And the same craziness is transfer objects. So why transfer object was introduced was to minimize the remote communication for Corba. And it was completely replaced by what? By JSON. With JSON, we got the decoupling. JSON or JSON P is nothing else than DTO. So what it means is all data transfer objects are questionable right now. And you should actually justify why we need them. So these are the links if you're interested. I wanted to show you some code, but I only had 40 minutes. So the code is on my GitHub. And thank you. And next time you should be more critical and challenge me a little bit more. But it was fun. So a great conference. I'm glad that Java is actually so popular. So Java is absolutely back, right? So thank you a lot. And see you next time.